We just finished this flower detail. We're now going to do this interior detail. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out so we can see the whole picture, and I'm going to create a new layer. So you just come down here, you click next to your trash can, create a new layer. I'm going to double click on it and I'm going to name it, I don't know, I guess detail. I have no other name for it. Make sure this layer is selected, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to zoom in now. My green detail, I command clicked on the eyeball so that it brought up the outline mode so I can see through it. If these flowers are getting in the way, you can either command click on the eyeball to bring up the detail mode, or you can hide them all together. I like to keep them up just so that I don't accidentally run into them with my blob brush. So with my blob brush here, I'm going to start tracing this detail, making sure I'm not overlapping the flower. And what most people are going to do is they're going to trace this whole thing out and keep tracing around. Well, no, that's not what we've been doing. We always only do a section of it, and then we reflect that around. And the reason we do it that way is so that this side is identical to that side. Otherwise, if I was to trace this out, I could get it close, but I can't get it identical. I just look at everything and make sure everything is smooth. If it's not, you can always come over to your smooth tool, which is nestled underneath your pencil tool or hidden underneath your pencil tool, and just drag along the edge there. So now, black arrow, you don't even need that. It's selected. I'm going to change the color, and it is this dark green. The stroke is black. 1 point. Come down here. Now with my black arrow, I need to reflect this, so I need a guide to reflect it, and I've already created one under this guide layer. But if you need to create one, you just come over here to your ruler, click and drag out. This is your center point right here, and so now I have a center point to reflect this on. So this is selected. I now come over to my reflect tool, which is nestled or hidden underneath your rotate tool, and I need to option click on this guide. Okay, it's telling me in my preview it's all weird, and the last time it was weird on this flower, I had to go into my preferences, so I have to hit cancel. This flower is drawn at a 45-degree angle. This detail is not. So I have to go into my preferences. I can go shortcut key Command K on my keyboard, and I can change my constraint angle to 0. The other way you can change that is you can go up to Illustrator, Preferences, General, change your constraint angle to 0. Now I'm still in my reflect tool. I'm going to option click on my guide. This time vertical works, and I'm going to hit copy. I'm then going to go to my shape builder tool. I need both objects selected, so I hold the command and shift key down. Both objects are selected. When I let go, I'm still in my shape builder tool. Click and drag over. I'm going to come expand this and just make sure nothing extra got made. I do notice that I accidentally drew my guide in the wrong layer, so I click on that and I drag it down here to my guides layer. So I have that drawn. I now need to draw this, I don't know, tan part here. So there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. I'm just going to do, since we've been doing shape builder, I'm going to come in here with my shape builder. I'm going to hit the eyeball, not on the whole layer. I expand my layer and I hit the eyeball just on that green path there. And since it overlaps, it doesn't matter too much. I'm just going to cross there. And look at what I'm doing. I'm tracing out this whole thing. That's not what we want to do. Let me undo that. So I'm going to do just one side here. I'm going to cross over that. Actually, we could fill out the whole thing since this is going to be covered up. I'm going to fill it in, make my brackets bigger. I'm going to change the color on that. I'm getting confused with all my tans and my yellows. I'm going to make it looks like this dark color here. I'm not going to put a stroke on it because it doesn't need one. But now if I show my eyeball, my green is underneath. I need to drag it up, so my green detail needs to be on top. That is the reason why I didn't need to be too specific. And now with my black arrow tool, I'm going to select both these objects. I'm going to hold the shift key down, select, and I'm going to rotate them around. So I'm going to come over to my rotate tool, which is hidden or nestled underneath my reflect tool. I want to rotate around this center point, so I option click on it. That looks good. I'm going to hit copy, and then I'm going to hit Command D to redo what I just did. And with my black arrow, I'm going to click off. It looks good. You could shape build these, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold my shift key down and select all of them. I'm just going to make it one big shape so we don't have all these shapes together. There are a bunch of different shapes under my layer, or my layer. And now I just have one shape here. And you might say, but Mr. Robinson, this one is underneath. Well, what do you have to do? You just drag it on top. And you might say, well, this doesn't look very nice. Yeah, it doesn't, but what's going to happen is we are going to, the last step is make grout, and it's going to cover up a lot of that. It's going to cover up all of that so that it's going to look nice, and it's just going to hide that. So we didn't have to spend a lot of time on it because we're going to cover up some of it. So we now have this detail. I'm going to minimize it. I'm going to command click on my eyeball of my green detail so we can see it. I'm going to zoom out. Okay, that looks really nice. And now some students go and try to do the exact same thing over here, and they start over again. Well, we've already have it done right here, so all we need to do is select all of this and rotate it around, and we are done with all our green detail. So I need my green detail selected, so I click on the meatball. I need all my flowers selected, so I'm going to shift click on the meatball, and then I need all my little detail here selected, so I'm going to shift click on all on that meatball. So I have that all selected. I'm going to click rotate tool. This is our center point, so I'm going to option click on it. That looks good, so I'm going to hit copy. I'm then going to hit Command D because it redoes what I just did. I'm going to click on my black arrow tool and just unclick everything, and then I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So we have all that detail completed in there, and all we had to do was just do one, and then we rotated it around. When we come back, we will then do the detail outside here. I don't know what you would call that, and then we will do the detail out here and then do the grout.